Today's gospel comes from the book of Matthew, chapter 22, verses 1 through 14. Once more, Jesus spoke to them in parables, saying, "The kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who gave a wedding banquet for his son. He sent his slaves to call those who had been invited to the wedding banquet, but they would not come. Again, he sent other slaves, saying, 'Tell those who have been invited, look, I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and my fat calves have been slaughtered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding banquet.' But they made light of it and went away, one to his farm, another to his business, while the rest seized his slaves, mistreated them, and killed them. The king was enraged. He sent his troops, destroyed those murderers, and burned their city. Then he said to his slaves, 'The wedding is ready, but those invited were not worthy. Go therefore into the main streets and invite everyone you find to the wedding banquet.' Those slaves went out into the streets and gathered all whom they found, both good and bad. So the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to see the guests, he noticed a man there who was not wearing a wedding robe. And he said to him, 'Friend, how did you get in here without a wedding robe?' And he was speechless. Then the king said to the attendants, 'Bind him, hand and foot, and throw him into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen.'" Here ends today's gospel.
Please be seated. If the children would like to come forward. See more. Are they going to come forward? All right. Good morning. Let's try that again, just like they are. Good morning. Okay, you all have to pull their strings apparently for them. Good morning.
Good morning.
They're obstinate today. You know what obstinate is? You know, it's the opposite of what a mask is. It's being stubborn. Well, sometimes people are stubborn, aren't they? And they don't do the things they're supposed to do. And you heard that in the gospel today. People were invited, and they didn't come. Did you know that your parents love you? Did you ask them to love you? You did? And they love you anyhow? Did you know God loves you, and you didn't have to ask Him to love you? He'll love you anyhow? And that Jesus loves you, and you don't have to ask Him, but He loves you anyhow, and the Holy Spirit. But when you know somebody loves want to try to do something in response to them and love them back? And do the things that they want you to do? Well, we don't always do it right, but you try, right? You try. And that's what God's asking us in the gospel today. He's saying, I've done this for you and I love you, but you need to respond. You need to respond to me. You must respond to me. And I'm going to talk a lot more about response and one of the things that we can do to respond to God is. Some of it's coming here, but a lot of it could be just loving our parents. But there's all sorts of things that we can do to respond to God. And God wants us and commands us. Okay? Now I got sidetracked there. But there was something else, and I got sidetracked. But I'll bring it up in the rest of the sermon, so I want you guys to pay attention. See, that's the teaser. See, now I got something else I need to say, but it'll come up in the rest of the sermon, so you have to pay attention and take notes, all right? You take notes? No, you won't take notes? You are really being obstinate today. Extra obstinate. Let's pray, okay? Gracious God, we give you thanks for obstinance. We give you thanks for response. We give you thanks for your love, even though that we didn't ask for it. We give you thanks that you keep coming to us and asking us to respond. Help us to change our ways and respond to you. Help us to be who you want us to be so that we can impact the entire world. We can be your hands and feet here in this world. We lift all this up to you through your Son, who gave himself for us, Jesus Christ, our Lord and our Savior. Amen. There's crayons over there, and there's coloring books. If I tell you not to color, will you color? I just figured that was the way it was going. So why don't you pick color or not color? Now you have a real dilemma, don't you? And I'm back. Crayons right there. Well, you can stay up here with me if you want. Or crayons, wherever. I'm good. You want to give the sermon? You know, the last couple of parables that Jesus has given us has been talking about things of the past. And he's been specifically talking about how the Jews had responded to God. Those were the last couple parables that we heard. But this parable today is talking about the future. Are you able to hear me today on that? Okay. Well, we had some problems with the first service, so I'm just double checking. So, but this time, Jesus is speaking about the future. He's not just talking about the near future 2,000 years ago. He's talking about our future. Okay? This applies to us today. He's asking us to respond. You hear that these servants went out to go get the people for a wedding banquet. And people said, man, no thanks. I got other things to do. I'm a little busy right now. Let me go to my farm. Let me go to my business. I don't have time for that. And he goes out and he gathers more people, trying to get more people to come in. Who does he bring in? All the good and the bad. No, not the good, bad, and the ugly, because that's a whole different thing. But the good and the bad. And it's just like any church. We have some really good people, we have some bad people. We have some people that really believe, we have some people that don't believe. There's actually a lot of atheists that sit in pews, believe it or not. But they're looking to believe. They just don't know it. But that's our job, is to give them the gospel, for them to hear the gospel, for us to embrace it. So we have all sorts of people that come into the church. All sorts of people are impacted by the things that we do and the things that we don't do. We are given a chance to put on that gown, that robe, that wedding robe. Today we're going to do that, and somebody is going to be baptized today. Thaddeus, a.k.a. Bubba. But he's going to put on that robe of righteousness through baptism. He will be dressed in a robe. The robe that the king was looking for the wedding. But it is Mom's job It is all the sponsors, godparents, grandkids, grandparents, their job, and ultimately our job to make sure that Thaddeus keeps that robe on. But he has free will. He can throw it off, but our job is to be there to help raise him in the church. He comes here and we take a promise, we'll take an oath to say, we will help you. We will help Mom, we will help her grandma. There she is. We'll help Grandma, we'll help everybody that is wanting to care about Thaddeus, which should be all of us. We will join together to help him be raised in the church, to put on that robe of righteousness. Part of that is responding to God. You heard me talk to the kids about it, responding to God. This parable says we must respond to God. Don't like talking about must too much, because it's harsh, isn't it? You must do something. But we have one commandment. That's what I wanted to bring up. Where are those kids? That's what I was trying to bring up. We have one commandment. Did you know that? We only have one commandment. Raise your hand if you don't know that we have one commandment. See, it's safe that way, because see, then if you don't want to raise your hand either way, now it looks like you know it. But we have that one commandment. Okay, and Jesus says to love one another as I first loved you. That's it. For us to love one another is responding to God because we're responding on the love that God has given us already. Not because we ask for the love, not because we ask for grace and mercy, but because God so loved the world that He gave His Son. He loves each and every one of us. But He asks for us to do something in response, and that is to love one another. And we can love one another through our ministries that we do here. Now, if you read the last newsletter, you're going to see I wrote about a whole bunch of ministries, and I left out a whole bunch. Not intentionally, but my fingers got tired, and I got tired of thinking about it, and there's just so many that we do. We impact a lot of people here. We impact a lot of people in Siouxland. We impact people in this congregation. We impact people that come visit us here. We impact people across the world. Mission and ministry is important. It's how people get connected to God. It's how people keep that robe on. It's how people respond to God. Because believe it or not, we think that sometimes that we're doing the ministry, but really the ministry is coming back into us. So those people are doing the ministry. When we're out doing food pantry, they're ministering to us. Ask the people that are around the table that give out the food. They know. That's ministry that's coming into them. We get something out of it too, but they get something out of it as well. And guess what? Our lives are changed. Their lives are changed. And when our lives are changed, anything is possible. Anything is possible. When our lives are changed, when we're responding, we're keeping that robe on. And so when Jesus calls us home, when it's time and He's preparing those rooms and the banquet is ready, we will be clothed. But if we don't respond, then we won't be clothed. Anybody see the laughing Jesus at the beginning of service? I've been playing for the last few weeks. Anybody see that? Okay, raise your hand if you did see it. It's okay if you did see it. Really, JR, you didn't see it? All right, the laughing Jesus. Being a disciple of Christ, a follower of Jesus, is a free will, loving and gracious response to a loving and gracious God. It is a loving and gracious response to a loving and gracious God. And it's free will. Free will. Loving and gracious response to a loving and gracious God. Because God loved first. So then we love God afterwards. It's not about anything that we've done. Goodness knows it's not about anything that we've done, because we could not have done. And Jolene, if you could advance me to the sermon slide again. It's not about anything we've done, because we don't deserve the love. We don't deserve the mercy. We don't deserve the grace that we get. But God just showers us in that. Just plain showers us in that. But He does ask us to respond. He asks us to respond in everything that He has given. Being a disciple of Christ, that's us people. A follower of Jesus, that's us. Is a free-willed, loving response. Sometimes response is just hugging the person that comes through the door. You don't know how that will change somebody's life. Anybody see my door where it says about hugs? Anybody? What does it say? Hugs can cure. All it takes is a hug. Let somebody know that they're loved. Hugs can cure. But the other thing is a response is also something you heard John talk about, is giving. We give to our ministry so that we can impact the world. That's our response as well. Being involved in those ministries is a response as well. We have a spiritual gift study starting today. That's our response as well. Being involved in finding out what God gives you as your spiritual gifts so that you can go out and use those gifts and respond to God in the gifts that He has already given you, in the love that He's already given you. All this stuff is for the future. Often you hear people say, well, I want a sermon as how it impacts me today. It impacts you today so that you can go out and do the things and be involved in the future. It impacts you today so that you can go out and do the things so you can be involved in someone else's future. It impacts you today so that we can continue mission and ministry. It impacts everybody when we respond. It impacts the people we respond to through God, and it impacts ourselves. It changes who we are. This morning somebody said, well, you know, I often hear that I don't have to be going to church to be a good Christian. Well, in some respects, yeah, in some respects. But if you're not coming to church, how are you helping those that need the help? How are you hearing the word? How are you involved? How are you supporting Thaddeus? How are you supporting each other? You do need to come to church. You need to be involved with people. This is not for your isolation of the world, but this helps insulate us from the effects of the world. When we come together and hear God's word, we become insulated from the effects of the world out there. Because there's a lot of crud going on out there, isn't there? Take a look at Facebook, that's just full of crud. Look at Twitter, that's full of crud. Any social media, look at it, it's full of crud. Use whatever word you want, but it's full of it. So we need to be here to support one another. And so that we can support others outside of there, so that we can wear that gown, wear that robe. It says in Colossians, in 3:14, it says, clothe yourself with love. Clothe yourselves with love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony, loving one another as He first loved us.